This is TB Talks and BS Walks. Join the conversation or the BS. Here are the masterminds behind the microphone, Tyler and Brian.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 1. It is finally here. I've talked about it. It is now coming to fruition. I'm Tyler Blair, but I can't leave out my good buddy Brian. Brian, what's
hey man,
up,
how's
pal?
it going? Doing all right.
It is going. The podcast is finally here, man. We've talked about it, and this is episode 1. So we are officially on our training wings, brother.
It took long enough. Weeks of planning, weeks of setting up, weeks of twiddling thumbs because I didn't want to look up political stuff.
This is I will go ahead and let our listeners know now, this is a work in progress. We are doing this on a cell phone and a computer right now because I just bought a house and finances are tough.
Yep.
But with support of the listeners, hopefully we are going to upgrade equipment as we go. And things are going to get rolling. This first podcast is going to feel pretty loose. We're trying to. This is a first-time thing for the both of us, so we are popping both of our cherries right now, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that was an extreme lack of a better term, but okay, yeah, we're breaking new ground would have been acceptable. But whatever.
So when discussing the podcast, we decided that we didn't want to talk about one certain topic because I'm the only sports guy in the group.
Pretty much.
Brian hates sports, and I hate Brian.
It works.
So this is. We decided that we didn't want to talk about one certain topic, so we're going to kind of cover a little bit of everything.
This way, while everybody else is getting to learn. I'm learning too. Like I said, I'm not he's right. I'm not a sports guy. I have a favorite sports team, football, but I don't know who plays on that team, and even
who is your favorite sports team, by the way? I love
the Green Bay Packers. I just don't know who's on it. Yeah, I keep on thinking there's a guy named Jefferson. I'm pretty sure there's a guy named Jefferson. I just don't know what position he plays. That's how interested I am in sports. Like, I have a favorite team. I love it when they make it to the Super Bowl. I go to the Super Bowl party when they make it to the Super Bowl. Have no idea who's playing. No clue.
So you watch football
Basically.
One time a year? If the Packers go to the Super Bowl? Okay. I mean, man, I'm a Chiefs fan, so, we never go to the Super Bowl, so at least you've got me beat there. It's a tough life being a Chiefs fan. I'll tell you that. However, I'm hopeful every year. Every year we get some new draft picks, and I'm always hopeful, but I'm always left making that walk of shame.
It happens.
So, a little backstory. I guess we should give them the backstory between you and I. I guess it was around 2008. We both worked at Walmart, and I started out in the back unloading freight, and then moved to electronics. And I believe you were in Connection Center.
Cell phones. Woohoo!
So Brian and I kind of became friends, and then you had to move to New Mexico.
Shortly after I got married. There was a lot that happened in between. We're leaving out quite a bit. Walmart.
Well, fill in the gaps, man.
You were friends, I think, with Matt before we had actually got a chance to meet, and it's through Matt that we started talking. You met most of your extended family now.
Right.
Walmart, and I knew them ahead of time.
That is true.
Except for, I think, Brittany I hadn't talked to so much. So, I met her there, but I don't think her and I talked too often. I knew her mom and her dad mostly, her stepdad. But, you know, we kind of met through mutual friends, but we kind of had almost a connection right off the bat as friends. Because there were a lot of similarities that we liked. Though you didn't know I liked music, that was one of them. We liked to sing, we liked to listen to music, we liked games. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff. I think it was after you left Walmart, though, where we did the overnight thing, where we tried to play Fear.
Oh yes. The scariest game I've ever played in my life.
I think that was one of the pinnacle moments in our friendship, because neither one of us wanted to turn off the TV or have all the lights off at one time after that.
Well, and then we started playing the game, and the next thing I know, you were hugging me. So I don't know how that happened. I mean, there's some gaps in there that I'm missing, but I do know that we were both terrified.
Hey,
so
when I'm scared, I need a cuddle buddy. That just happens. Everybody needs a cuddle buddy.
You know, it's kind of like a thunder buddy when it's storming, I suppose.
Yeah. Though you didn't have to take your shirt off.
So,
that was where it got a little strange.
So, you got married and moved to New Mexico, or moved to New Mexico and then got married. I'm not sure which order it was. Did you meet her in Missouri?
No, I actually met her when I was 7 years old. We lived in the same place in Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. And,
okay. So you guys were were you guys childhood friends? You know,
we
did you
kind
guys
of lost contact
grew up together?
with each other. We both moved to separate Air Force bases after that. And when my dad retired and moved out to Missouri, I can't remember who exactly. Everybody wants to take credit for us meeting. Her aunt, her mom, my grandmother, they all want to take credit for us reconnecting. But it was about...
Of course they do.
I don't know, roughly a week after we started talking, we were engaged, roughly.
Man, you were rocket speed, didn't waste any time.
Well, when you know, you know.
That is true. Brittany and I met. She came to a performance I was doing, a music gig, and we made eye contact, and that was pretty much it, man. So I totally can relate to that. But no, it's cool. We've been able to stay in touch via Xbox Live, and then I decided one day that you want to do a podcast, and you so graciously obliged.
Oh yeah, it was nothing. It was something new, something challenging, so I thought we'd give it a try. I had not done it before.
Now, Brian has a Twitch following, Code and Riley Gaming, I believe. Isn't that your Twitch handle? Is that correct? So he's got the Twitch. And what kind of stuff are you playing on Twitch, man? If people want to follow you, what kind of stuff are you playing?
Right now I'm having computer issues. We're lucky we're podcasting right now. But normally, when I have it up and running, I do Xbox One games, old Xbox games. I have PlayStation 4 that I'm going to start playing games off of eventually. I was going to do Nintendo, but I hear Nintendo has some very strict streaming rules, and I don't want to get sued. Not right now. I mean, maybe when I'm a multi-millionaire off in some mountain somewhere.
So what's the issue with streaming Twitch with Nintendo? I mean, what's their issue with that?
It's a lot of copyright. A lot of copyright laws you have to get by, and you have to get permission for certain things, and
Nintendo has kind of dropped the ball in the last few years. I mean, I can remember when the Wii came out. We were both working at Walmart when the Wii came out, and that was such a hot item. And then the Wii U tanked. And as far as the sales aspect of it goes, it tanked. And then, it sounds like, I heard they had a good E3 this year. I didn't get to watch it, but I heard their E3 was good. People were hopeful about the Switch.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really help them that they're, not as open to, live streaming as, say, Sony or Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you follow in the footsteps of like Apple and Disney, it's kind of hard to really get yourself out there from the lower level standpoint, from just a consumer standpoint. Like, Disney's real big on copyright, Apple's real big on copyright, and they're so restricted on what you can use their stuff for. And then you have Nintendo, which is kind of the same way, and it's nothing, like, I don't want to knock Nintendo. A lot of people make fun of them. I love their games. I would love to show their games. I would just love not to get sued for it, that's all.
Well, I bought a Wii U for my daughter, and she doesn't ever play it, so I'm thinking that thing's getting ready to hit the selling block. But I kind of have mixed emotions on the Switch. I've thought about picking it up, but they just don't have any games right now. I'm not a Legend of Zelda fan. I know I'm in the minority there, but I'm not I'm probably going to get tons of hate mail on the Twitter now because I said I'm not a Zelda fan.
No,
but
for those listening, I am a Zelda fan, and even I wouldn't buy the Switch right now because there's not enough games.
I think the only full game release was Breath of the Wild, correct? I mean, they have some other games that are out, but are they full release games, or I thought they were more like
I think Mario was released the same day, and so was Skyrim. I think all three of those were first day releases. I'm not positive on that though, but
I knew you said you were going to pick up the Switch, so I see you haven't done that yet. So, which, I mean, that's, you can wait it out.
I like the old games too, and that's one reason why I still have a Wii, is because I can go back and play, Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World or Star Fox 64. I can go back and play those old games on my Wii. I can't do that on the Switch. I've thought about getting the Wii U just because of the upgraded graphics, and they actually redid some of the old games to work on the U, so I thought that would be cool. And then when they came out with the Switch, I thought for sure they were going to have a Nintendo Marketplace that's going to have a whole bunch of games, and no, they got nothing right now. And that, to me, is not worth the Switch. That's what made the Wii worth it to me, was all the old games. I didn't have to go and find an emulator, or go and find an old system and restore it, or go and find the new old systems that play the old cartridges and all that. It was just right there. I could just download my favorite ones. So losing that ability on the Switch right now just doesn't seem worth it to me, because I am a retro gamer. I like playing the old games.
Speaking of retro gamer, I was just in GameStop the other day, and we all know that I have a love-hate relationship with GameStop. The only time I ever shop at GameStop now is for consoles or accessories, because I can't get those things digitally. If I could buy accessories digitally, I would. If I could buy consoles digitally, I would. But and I will explain my love-hate relationship with GameStop is because you can buy a used game. Actually, you can buy a brand new game. You can walk in the store, pay shelf price for a brand new game, open the package, walk right back inside, try to sell that game, and they buy from you for half the price, and they make an 80% profit margin.
Not even half the price. Not even.
So, yeah, I mean, you can buy a $60 game, and what, they buy it for $25 or $15. So I was in GameStop to pre-order the Xbox One X Project Scorpio edition. I actually managed to snag the last pre-order, and when I was in there, I was down to the wire, man. One of our mutual friends had pre-ordered it, and there were 2 left at that time, and I was at work and didn't get a chance to go. And by the time that I had got off work that day, they were both gone. So I called one store left and had to drive, 25, 30 miles. But they said we have one left, so I was able to snag it. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But while I was in there, I asked them about the mini Super NES that's coming out. They released the miniature Nintendo. And now they're doing the same thing with the Super, and she said that the pre-orders sold out in 25 minutes.
Nice.
So, and they're not expected to get any more. So, I was totally excited about getting one of those because I missed out on the regular Nintendo when they've already have ceased manufacturing on that. But looks like I'm not going to be able to get the Super either unless I can score it on eBay.
Oh, you know that's going to be a. Hope you have a couple thou on you, because I don't see you picking that up for less.
I mean, I guess when I get my new computer, I can just download an emulator. But I mean, it's kind of
allegedly download.
It's kind of not the same.
Allegedly, not actually pirating.
It's kind of the same thing, though. You know what I mean? Because there's something about holding that controller in your hand. That's a piece of history.
And my brother has my stuff. He has my old. Well, I think I gave it to him all. He has he has what was my Super Nintendo. It's his now. He has a Super Nintendo. He has a Nintendo 64. He has basically everything up to the Wii except the GameCube that I had. I gave it to him. And so, he's got the old square Nintendo controllers. He's got the Super Nintendo rounded controllers with the buttons and everything. And it's so cool. And, I moved on to the Wii, and then I sold my Wii, and then I rebought my Wii, and it's gotten crazy. But, yeah, as far as...
Best console ever, in my opinion, was the Nintendo 64, hands down.
It had its games. Like, it had some of my favorite games on it. But I don't have a favorite console, really. I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be my Xbox right now. Just because a lot of my, a lot of the high-tech games, a lot of my favorite newer modern games are all out on the Xbox. Like, Anthem's coming out here soon, which is awesome. We have Shadow of War coming out here that I'm super excited for, but I gotta wait on the purchase of that one. Then there's Ark Survival Evolved that's just got its full release date today, and it's been a wonderfon game for me. I've enjoyed it. Not everybody I've played with enjoys it, but
are they going to change? Are they going to change a lot? On the full release versus everything up to this point with the alpha and the beta and all that stuff. I mean, are they expected to change a whole lot, or is it pretty much going to stay like
there
it
is talks of mods that are on the computer that have been endorsed by Wildcard coming to the Xbox. They don't have an exact release date on that. One, though, already has come, and that's the Ragnarok map. They've already changed the UI, the menu screen, everything for Ark while you're in game. So like when you used to bring up your inventory, it was all set up a certain way. Now they actually have it a little bit more, focused, I guess is a good way to put it. It's a little more focused. It's not as scattered as it used to be. So I really enjoy the new look. But yeah, it's full release now, and they've added a few things, I think what was supposed to be in this update was Tech Shield and Plasma Sword, and we've been talking about games for a while now, so I'm going to wrap it up. But it looks like they're going to open it up a lot more. We've lost a few servers, we're gaining a few more. They're allowing outside sources like you and I to rent servers, so we can have our own servers, that'll house like 30 people with a password and all this, and all our friends can play on that server for like, if they do from the PC standpoint, for like $30. You pay $30 a month and 30 people are able to play. Everybody pays $1 basically. Yeah, so they're opening up a lot of options, so it's exciting. But
well, that's cool. Next topic. Did you hear? You probably have. President Trump's going to be here tomorrow.
Oh, in Missouri. Yes, I had heard about that. I haven't looked too much into that one.
He's flying into Springfield tomorrow. So there's already planning the big protests and all those things are happening. But he's going to speak at the Lauren Cook Company, which is in North Springfield. It's a manufacturing plant. They design fans, blowers, gravity vents, and exhaust systems and things like that. And anyways, he's supposed to fly in here, and it's going to kick off his, he's trying to sell everybody on his tax system. So that's going to get started on Wednesday. I was going to go, but I'm out of town. I'm out of town for work, so I'm currently sitting in a hotel right now, actually. So I'm out of town for work, so I'm not going to be able to go. But I was looking forward to that. President coming to Springfield is a pretty big deal. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Like I feel like we kind of failed at the primaries. But that's just me. Like I haven't had a problem with most of what he's doing. So I mean, I can't say anything really bad. I just don't think he was right.
Well, if you want the honest truth, man, neither one of the candidates would have been my pick. My view on it, I think Trump was definitely the better choice out of the two.
And that's the beauty of opinion. Like, I mean, nobody has to agree with you, but that was who you thought would be the best one. That's who I thought would be the best one, but I still,
it is. It's the. It's everybody's entitled to an opinion. As I said, my opinion is just that I look at it as a whole. I mean, as a whole, we voted for him. He's the commander in chief. He's in office. There's nothing we can do about that. Constant bitching and complaining about it isn't going to do anything. I believe that there are certain things that they need to leave the man alone and let him do what he's doing. There's other things too where, like the last couple of days, I've followed his Twitter, and the last couple of days, many people said that he was treating, they've got the Hurricane Harvey going through Texas right now, and just destroying everything. And he made some comments on Twitter, and the way that he made the comments, it made it sound like, it was like a game, or it was just a way for him to be put on a pedestal to make him look good. He didn't really sound like he, had shown much concern for the tragedy that was involved. Now, however, just as in anything, I mean, things can get misconstrued through any kind of social media. As to the intent behind the messages, the intent behind his Twitter. But, it's a pretty big deal. He's coming to Springfield. I was pretty excited about that. We will get off of the politic train in a hurry, but I just wanted to bring that up because I've got some people that are going to that. So if you are going, if you're listening and you're going, actually by the time that this episode is posted, he will have already been here and left. If you went, send us a comment. You can find us on Facebook.
Facebook at TBBESEPC. On Twitter at TB and BSPC. So, Twitter handle's kind of a little long. If you need to see that, go to our YouTube at TB Talks BS Walks. And you'll be able to, it's the main screen. You'll see the exact handles for where you need to go. I put a lot of work into that. I'm proud of my little
Hey man, October 22nd. October 22nd, Walking Dead, Season 8.
Yeah, I'm getting into the Marvel series on Netflix, actually. I did not get into The Walking Dead. Or Game of Thrones, really. I've out of the mainstream TV shows that are out there, I'm kind of stuck on Netflix, watching like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and The Defenders.
You should be careful saying that you don't watch Game of Thrones, because there might be people out here that will try to stab you in your sleep.
The winter can come. I don't care.
But I'm pretty stoked about the Season 8.
Walking Dead. I hear 7 ended
and,
crazy.
7 was crazy. The entire season was crazy. But I have a secret love for Negan, and I mean that in a totally non-homosexual way.
Got it.
He is Negan's a man, and I think he added. I think at the end of season 6, I was starting to get a little bored, and he breathed new life into the series for sure. And I have read, no spoilers, but I have read that season 8 is supposed to, as you know, Walking Dead is very good at killing people. And I've that season 8 is no different. Any kind of personal relationships that you might have invested with some of the main characters, I've heard those are going to be destroyed. So, not good. Not good. Looks like some big names might bite the bullet.
Well, you know, they got to compete with Game of Thrones somehow.
You know, that's actually, I've never seen Game of Thrones either. I know, I was just bashing. I was just bashing you for it, and I've never seen it.
As much as I've not seen it, I know a bit about it. But
well, it's like every time that someone talks TV, I mean, Game of Thrones comes up in the conversation at some point.
Why do you think I brought it up? Like, I knew it was going to come up anyway. Like, just thought I'd get it out there that neither one of us really watch it.
Yeah. We don't. But maybe one of these days, whenever they come to a close, I will binge watch it on Netflix.
I mean, that's what I'm doing with Star Trek right now, the original series. I just went back and watching all those from the beginning.
I never started watching. You know, Star Trek, man, I just can't get into that. I haven't been able to get into the movies or the TV shows. I didn't even start watching Walking Dead until it was in season 4, and I decided that I would find out what the hype was about it. You know, I heard everyone talk about it. So I started watched that first episode and never put it down. I binge watched the first 4 seasons. And then I didn't even have live TV at the time. I didn't have DirecTV or anything to watch current episodes. So I actually re-signed up for DirecTV so I was able to watch it. And since then, that's dedication,
or an addiction,
isn't it?
One of the two.
Well, there's plenty of other things that I could be addicted to. However, Walking Dead, I'll take it.
Right.
So, what's new down your way? Have you guys had a hot summer?
Actually, for New Mexico, it's been pretty cool. Actually, we've already cooled down quite a bit, and just in this last 2 weeks or so, we're in our 50s and 60s. When normally summer is summer, dude. Like, summer is, melting in a room somewhere, unable to remove any more clothing because it's just so hot.
What's there to do down there? I mean, you guys have casinos?
Well, I mean, I work security at a casino. And we have 3 up here. So there's 3 different casinos to go to. A lot of people like to go.
You work security at a casino? That's got to be a bomb job. How does that work? Is that? That's got to be pretty exciting.
It has its moments. We're a racetrack and casino, so we have the horses come through. And as soon as I say that, everybody's going to know where I work. They just have to look it up. I'm not going to say it right now because they don't want. I'm not going to say the name because they don't want any relation to me, I'm sure. So, but.
Is it owned by Native Americans? Because I think all casinos are owned by Indians.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not.
I stand
not
corrected.
All casinos.
No. Everyone that I've ever seen was owned by Native Americans.
No, not all of them.
And then
the majority up here are, but not all.
Okay. So, how much money have you seen at one time?
I've seen paid out to a customer close to $40,000.
That was a stack of hundreds or 20s. What'd they pay him with?
Money. They don't really let it, like, we just escort it. We're not allowed to give out too much detail on anything, really. It was $40,000. It was amazing. They liked it. We didn't get a tip. I walked away. That was about it.
Did it take every ounce of your being, like, not to, like, punch him in the face and take the money?
Not at all. I mean, I was raised differently. A job's a job. Like, that's what they told us when I started. We could get tips, we could do this, we could do that, but it's a job. Like, I have a wife, I have a son, so I don't pay attention to the money really. A tip is always a nice surprise to me.
kind of tip did you
No,
get?
nothing. No tip.
This guy just won 40 grand and he didn't tip you? I definitely would have stolen.
Well, since I go in with the attitude of not expecting a tip, it didn't really bother me. Although the reason I say we didn't get a tip was because everybody else I worked with had such a fit about it. Like, it's understandable. I understand where they're coming from. But, yeah, not even the cashiers got a tip. So it's like nobody. But
are you guys allowed to? Are you guys allowed to carry firearms? Do they have any kind of security there that, I mean, it's armed, or is it all just...
Technically.
I mean, they give you guys anything? I mean, you have a radio? You have pepper spray? I mean,
we got radios. We got other things, but like I said, there's only so much information I can give out about a casino, especially when I'm a part of. Like, so...
That's the one thing that's one thing that I've always wondered. I've always wondered why that casinos are so top secret. Like, for example, the first casino I ever went to, I was 21. It was on my 21st birthday, actually, and I went with my parents. I didn't even get to drink on my 21st birthday because I was with my mom and dad, and at that time, like, I was too busy worried about what they thought. So I was like, you know what? Like, it's probably not a good idea for me to have a drink. But anyway, so we went to the casino, and I walk in the front door, and I thought, man, this is cool. I've never been here. So the first thing I do is pull up my cell phone and start to take a picture. And I realized real quick that they frown upon that. So, and I honestly don't know why. I don't understand how that taking a picture of inside the casino is supposed to reveal some top secret information is how they conduct business.
I'm not entirely positive of this theory, but my belief is it kind of carried in from the old machines. The old machines used to run a certain way, and when they hit a certain thing that normally was like a forerunner to a jackpot. So they didn't want people giving out pictures of things that could happen. Then there's the one reason they don't like pictures in casinos at all isn't really for the machines, it's for the people in it. With the old stigma that came with casinos, people who went there were immediately looked upon as having a problem, having an addiction. Wow, that was thunder. Having an addiction, just they had to gamble. So in taking pictures of people inside the casino, like if you had a politician or the mayor or city council or somebody in there, gambling, under the old stigma they had a problem, so therefore they could not be in a position of authority.
I guess it's kind of like an invasion of privacy kind of thing.
So that's normally why they don't allow pictures. Like, we allow pictures of, like, the winning machine or some of our memorabilia, but nothing of the people walking around, nothing of, like, the outside of the casino, looking into the people who are playing, because if you get somebody in authority, it could be an issue.
Is that a pretty good way to get your phone jacked?
No, we don't take it. We just tell you to put it in your pocket. Like, we try to be, courteous. We try to be understanding, We don't allow weapons inside. We don't allow outside drinks just in case you spike something, because there's no alcohol allowed on our floors in New Mexico. That's a state law. Yeah.
Really?
We don't allow backpacks. We don't allow hoodies. There are just certain things we don't allow for safety, and then there's things we don't allow just, personal privacy, or because that's the rule. And, we get our attitudes from people who don't understand, but, what else? What can you do?
Kind of off topic here. It's kind of changing directions, but how was the eclipse there? Did you guys get a good view of that?
I work overnights, dude. But the whole time the eclipse is happening, I'm in a coma. Like, that just helped me sleep. I don't know what everybody's losing their mind about.
So people listening right now are freaking out like you're on some kind of medication. He was not literally in a coma, ladies and gentlemen. That is Remember that lack of a better term thing? You probably used a different one. But, anyways, was New Mexico, or where you were at, I guess, were you totality, or were you just a partial? Do you know that?
Like, nobody here really talked about it. Like, most of the people that I talked to here brought up the eclipse.
Dude, it blew up. It blew up social media, man. Like, it was all over my Facebook, all over my Twitter. It was everywhere.
But here in New Mexico, with the people that I talked to at my job, like, it was brought up ironically. Like, nobody really cared. It was one of those, the sun's going to go dark for a few minutes. Like, whoopee, we got work, let's go. Like, nobody really...
The reason I bring this up, this is trending on Twitter, and there are people in California that are being treated at a local hospital after putting sunscreen on their eyeballs during the eclipse.
Oh, boy.
You heard it correctly. Putting sunscreen on their eyeballs.
This is in California?
Yes. This is why that they should succeed from the United States. That's...
Like, I have a hard time with California. One of my best friends, actually, known him forever, lives in California. So I hate saying anything about California. But I sometimes wonder if there's something in the water. Because a lot of stuff happens in California that just doesn't make any, like, logical sense. Like, it blows my mind.
Did you hear about... Speaking of water, did you hear about... I think his name was... First name was Alex. I forget what his last name was, but he's, like, one of the biggest conspiracy theorists, like, ever. And he has, I mean, like, tens of millions of views on his content on YouTube. But he made a comment. It was, I don't know how long ago it was, but he made a comment about he actually thought that there was something, they were putting chemicals in the water that were turning people gay.
Oh, yeah, well, they've been saying that about all sorts of stuff. Soy milk, water, regular milk, food, air.
Are you a conspiracy guy? Are you a conspiracy guy? Like, do you believe in conspiracies?
When there's enough to back it. Like, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist. I can see how some of them make sense, but they don't have a lot of, like, factual backing. It's just somebody scared. Like, it's somebody, coming up with what could happen. And we have enough of that,
Oh, there was
anyway.
just ones that I could think. Yeah, ones that I could think of are like, that 9/11 was an inside job. I'm not going to dive into this, or that there were, the whole Area 51 situation. I don't know. I'm just not, I do believe that Tupac is dead. I don't believe that Tupac is
on an island somewhere.
Right.
B.I.G. and
but.
Now Chester Bennington, apparently.
Let's see. Oh man. So let's talk about that for a second. That you brought it up. I know that you are a huge Linkin Park fan. How did you? I know we discussed this briefly off of the air, but how did you react to that? I mean, from what I understand, a lot of people had. And I know music can do that to you also, but a lot of people were emotionally and personally invested in their music.
Well, like I said, when we talked, like I said, it was my whole childhood. Like, and when, I was just turning 18, 19 years old, hanging out with my friends, and that was what we listened to all the time. Driving around in a freaking Chevy Cavalier with busted out speakers and trash all over the floor, listening to Linkin Park. It was just kind of how we, hung out, escaped things, did what we wanted to do. And as I grew older, it's just their change in style never really bothered me. I always enjoyed the stuff they came out with. So I just kept listening and going on, and, So when he passed, I can't say that I was completely devastated. I was worried about the band, to be honest. It was, where are they going to go now? Chester was kind of he was a unique voice, a unique style, and to lose that, you don't know where the band's going to go. And then, that's when you find out, like, I just listened to the music. I never got invested with the actual band members. I knew Chester and Mike Shinoda. That's it. And, Han, the DJ. But
I know that I asked you this. I know that I asked you this already, but I just kind of want to put it out there for the listeners. How do you think, they would do, doing something like a Journey situation, and hiring a new lead singer to take over the vocals? I mean, do you think that that's a wise decision? Do you think that that's I would be concerned with the image of Linkin Park or the sound of Linkin Park being tainted.
Yeah, I mean, wisdom aside, it is possible.
In a different direction.
There are people out there who sound a lot like Chester. I've already seen it. There's a lot of people who sound like him, but coming into a band
have you heard
already
Arnel Pineda sing?
I'm sorry?
Have you heard Arnel Pineda sing? I mean, you can't tell the difference in him and Steve Perry.
But
there's
a certain
I totally
respect
get that.
and a certain humility that he comes into Journey with. So you're upset it's not Steve Perry, but you're not so upset that it's him. Like, you still like. You're like, oh yeah, he sounds exactly like him. It's not quite like the old Journey, but he's doing a good job. That's what most people I have ever seen said. I haven't seen a lot of negative on him at all. And normally when he's asked in any interview, he's always respectful of the band, of where they came from and how. Yeah. So it's possible for Linkin Park to head in that direction. Whether it's wise or not, I couldn't say. And if the person came in just thinking he was hot stuff because he's coming in on Linkin Park, one of the quoted to be one of the best rock groups that came out of its era, there's going to be a lot of people who just don't want to listen because he's got that air about him. If he comes in respectful and he comes in, knowing where the band came from and, that he's basically doing the same thing of just carrying it on. He's not taking it over. He's not necessarily making it better. He's just, basically it becomes a tribute band at that point. Because I don't think anybody can match the writing of Chester. If Mike continues to write, and they go on from there, and they have somebody who sounds like Chester, it might be something, but I don't think they would call themselves Linkin Park.
I think there would be a whole lot of pissed off fans if they decided to, either change the name or, if some of them broke off and did their own thing, I guess that would
replace Chester, I can guarantee there's going to be a lot of angry people. I can't say that I wouldn't be one of them for a short time. Like, the guy would have to prove himself. And even then, I'm a laid-back personality. Eventually, I'd just be like, okay, well, he's giving it his best shot. He sounds good, and he's respectful. I'll give it a shot, and I'll probably keep listening. But there are other people who are what I like to call Linkin Park purists, the LPP.
Speaking of proving yourself, did you watch the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight Saturday? Well, I did. I got together with a bunch of buddies and went out to the garage and on like a 100-inch projector and watched the fight. I forgot how boring that boxing was.
Well, who walked away?
So there were 2 or 3 preliminary really boring boxing matches. I think all 3 of the prelims went the distance. All 10 rounds I think is what they were. And then the main card started at 8, and there was some more boring matches. There was one really good fight, and then so the main event didn't go on until it was after 10, and so it went 10 rounds, and I told everybody that it would go the distance. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor both were saying that they were both going for knockouts, and Mayweather said he was going to KO him. by like the third or fourth round. McGregor said he was going to KO him by the second round, and I told everybody he was going to go the distance, and I almost made it. It went 10 rounds. I think it was a minute 40 into the 10th round, and Mayweather just wore McGregor out, and the ref stopped it. It was a TKO.
Oh, jeez.
McGregor was, he comes from MMA, UFC, which is totally different, and that's why, I forget how boring the boxing is, because they can't throw knees, can't go to the ground. They have to, they've only got their arms.
They can't beat the crap out of somebody and leave them a bloody pulp on the stage, man. They got to take it all easy and.
There was a guy, I think it was like 2 fights before the main event. I'm pretty sure his nose had broken. It was like laying like sideways on his face. It was pretty gnarly. But so like I said, the fight went 10 rounds, and McGregor, he did a hell of a job. For somebody that is not a boxer, and I watched their press conferences, and they were just talking trash. And then at the end of the fight, they were both very respectful. And even in their post-fight interview, they both just said how tough that the other one was and how much fun they had doing it. And McGregor was, signing welfare checks when he got his start, and then he signed, the biggest check of his life, and I think he cleared $100 million for, 35 minutes of fighting. But it was the ref, I think, probably warned him at least 9 or 10 times. Every time Mayweather would put his head down, McGregor would start trying to hammer fist the back of his head, and you can't do that in boxing. And I know that was pure instinct from MMA. You've already taken majority of his skill set out of the equation. He can't use his feet, he can't go to the ground. So it's out of habit. You see the back of somebody's head, he's going to start throwing hammer fists, and he did that probably 9 or 10 times, and the crowd was booing because the ref kept stopping it. But
it still had to be a
all
fair
in
game.
all in all, it was a good fight. I'm not sure it was worth the $100 that it cost to buy the pay-per-view, but luckily, there was several of us watching, so we each pitched in about $10. So not one person had to foot the entire bill. But I'll probably never watch boxing anymore. It was so boring.
Well, we all know that whole, getting in each other's faces and talking trash is all supposed to be just a mind game to try and make them uneasy about the fight itself. So I expected at the end that they would be amicable, like everything would be fine, but
and that's exactly what Mayweather said in his post-fight interview. People were asking him questions, and he said, all the trash talking that we did, leading up to the fight, that's what the fans wanted to see, and that's all publicity and building up the hype of the fight. And it was the biggest combat sports event in history. And he cleared, Mayweather cleared over $300 million. But I did hear that he donated a large lump sum of money to the Hurricane Harvey relief efforts, which I thought was really cool.
I've seen a lot of that on Twitter. A lot of big name.
Man, have you seen pictures of that?
I just watched a video from ABC last night.
Man, it's terrible, dude. They're getting devastated.
I heard it's rolling back too. Like it left and it's coming back in for another hit. So.
Well, what time we got?
How long have you been going? 14 minutes. Yeah.
Man, we're about out of time already.
It'll be cut down considerably, through the week. As we
mentioned, we're not recording this live. Probably going to have 30 to 45 minute episodes. It's going to take some time to edit. All those things take time. I do want to give a couple of shout outs real quick before we wrap it up. I do want to give a shout out to my good buddy Rod Kittleman with KADI 99 Hit FM for our awesome opener that you heard at the beginning of the show. So thanks, Rod, for hooking us up with that. And I want to thank our good buddy Matt Yaki. He is actually running our Twitter right now. Speaking of Twitter, if you have any questions, we're just now getting this thing off the ground. We don't expect to make any money at this. This is strictly something that a couple of buddies are wanting to do for fun. However, your support is always welcome. It's always appreciated. I think we're trying to get some Patreons set up.
Still working on it. I have to figure out how that's going to roll. But once I get that situated, I'll be sending you the information, and we should have it posted. Like I said, our YouTube has our handles for where you can go to. We should be set up. Why
don't you go ahead and give them all the handles? Give them the info
we got
again.
Twitter at TB_ and that's the whole word _BS_PC. It's a long handle, but that's the best I could do. They didn't like the ampersand. Then we got YouTube, TB Talks, BS Walks, YouTube, and then on Facebook we have at TBB ESEPC.
So we are going to be reaching out to multiple platforms to get the podcast off the ground. As I said before, right now your main ways to probably listen to the podcast are going to be YouTube and Facebook. I'm actually in the works right now trying to, once we get this thing going, we're going to get it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. You'll be able to listen to it there as well on your commute to work.
Then there's my shout out to my wife. She's the one who made the screen and the logo for us, and she's going to be setting it up on iCloud as well. So we will have a lot of outlets that you can find us on.
There'll be plenty of opportunity to listen to the podcast. If you have questions or comments, hit up the Twitter, hit up the Facebook, leave comments on YouTube. I do know that once we get on iTunes, you'll be able to rate the podcast, and I know that's going to be crucial to the success of this thing. If you give it a 4 to 5 star rating, that's really going to help it grow in popularity. So I did want to give a quick shout out to all those people for helping us down to get this thing off the ground. And if you have questions, how this is going to work is, we're going to start answering questions on the podcast. So if you have a question or something that you want to know about us or something that you want us to cover, tweet that in, and we'll be reviewing that and trying to answer those on the following podcast. I believe right now, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're going to try to have an episode up once a week. It will be, as I said, 30 to 45 minutes. Now, I do know in a couple of weeks we may change things up a little bit because you're actually coming my direction for a family visit. So we're going to have a segment in the podcast, I believe, once a month or so. We're going to try to do a local celebrity interview, whether that be in Missouri or whether that be in New Mexico, where Brian lives. We're just going to try to get people in all aspects of life, different professions, career paths. We've got a mutual buddy who is into the MMA, and we're going to talk to him about what it takes to be an MMA guy.
Trainer,
if that's
fight setups.
If that's something that interests you, we're going to have some musical guests on the show that can talk to us about that kind of stuff. So we're just going to kind of take it different directions. As I said, it's a work in progress.
We're still finding our format. But like Tyler said, we are going to try and get at least once a week. My plan for the format after I return from Missouri is having the video right now, as we said, is like an hour. Right now it's an hour and 20 minutes long. So I'm going to be cutting that down so we can have 3 posts a week. So you'll have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we'll have the full podcast released on that following Sunday. So that if you like what you hear in between, you want to hear the whole thing, everything we talked about, then on Sundays we should have the full podcast up and running, and you can just come in and watch the full podcast, hear the full podcast.
And if you want to hear me make fun of Brian some more, you can always request that too.
It's not as often as I make fun of him, but it does happen. It's a rare occasion of brilliance, but still brilliant all the same.
I think that is about going to wrap us up.
All right.
So thank you, everybody, for listening. As I said, this is episode 1, and we will catch you guys next week for episode 2. Hit us up on the Twitter, on the Facebook, and we will be up on YouTube in the next couple of days after Brian gets all of his magnificent magic worked as far as editing and making me sound as good as I possibly can. But thanks so much for listening. Catch you next time.
TBBSE. I'm out.